Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to you all. Hope you had a great weekend. Welcome to another edition of Deep Cut Dive. My guest co-host today, once again, Jack Toledano. Good morning, my friend. How you doing?
Hey, Pete. How are you?
Doing okay. Doing all right. Weekends are not long enough, but here we are, right?
We are.
Monday. It's crazy, right?
So good to me.
So we're going to talk a little Aerosmith today. So hopefully everybody knows the drill by now who's come across this video. Deep Cut Dive is a show where we take a look beyond the hits. So anything that was normally played on the radio, on the greatest hits compilation, or compilations, I should say, for some of these bands. The songs they always play live, the songs that are on all their classic live albums, we're going to try and go a little beyond that and pick some stuff that probably the casual fan doesn't know. So again, if you are a big time Aerosmith fan, no doubt you're going to know all these songs that we're going to pick, but for the casual fans, this is the show for you to hopefully go beyond those popular songs, go a little deeper and discover some of these tunes from these great albums that maybe will prompt you to go out and buy A Night at the Ruts or Get Your Wings or something like that and get away from that only greatest hits set that you have, or maybe you don't even have any CDs and you just listen to the radio. Here's a chance to check out some cool new, or for you, cool Aerosmith songs that you probably haven't heard before. And for those big time fans, offer up another couple of suggestions from the catalog for those folks who don't know the catalog too well. So I'm going to have Jack kick us off with his first selection.
Okay, so Pete and everybody out there, I do read your comments and I do take some suggestions every once in a while. So I actually did a little research in Setlist.fm yesterday, and I'll flash this statistic up. So I did go, as I went through my list, I did look to see how many airplays they did. So here's an example. If everybody can see it. I don't know, can you see that?
Somewhat, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's just to give everybody a quick idea of what their top 10 played songs are on stage. You know, Walk This Way, Dream On, Sweet Emotion, etc., etc. But so I did look at that, and actually my original list was only going to be of the first 5 albums, but I expanded. And, you know, I checked to make sure that, you know, they didn't have many airplays. So,
well, you know, but you know what's kind of deceptive about something like that is that, so let's say they released an album called, I don't know, you know, Get Your Wings for argument's sake, right? So they were a young band. So Aerosmith, they were touring nonstop back in those days, right? So if they go out and play 250 dates on that tour and they play a song from that album every single show, it's going to rank pretty high on that setlist.com, right? But what if they never ever played that song live again?
That's a very good point.
Right? So it's still pretty deep. That's why I think a lot of people kind of look at those numbers and go to websites like that. You got to look beyond that. So it's like, that's why I always say, if they played it on that tour, that's perfectly okay. We're talking about the songs that they played on that tour and the next tour and again in 83 and again in 86. I mean, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's like, I think we all have to like kind of stop and really think about this, because I know that the deep cut, what is a deep cut is controversial to some people. And we get a lot of people commenting. It's like, that's not truly deep. That's not truly deep. Oh, but you know, you have to kind of look at it as, how often are these songs played on the radio or live or whatever? So I think we can forgive a song that was played 200 times on one tour, but never played again. Right?
Yeah, right.
Just my 2 cents on that.
Most of these truly did not get a lot of airplay. So, or rather played in concert, but
I mean, I think we all know that there's like probably a dozen Aerosmith songs that should not be touched on this show. I mean, I think we all you already named like 4 or 5 of them, and we know the rest of them. And you know those 80s and early 90s big huge hits. I mean, it's like we know what they are.
So in any event,
so in saying all that,
my first number starts with the first Aerosmith album, titled Aerosmith, and yes, there you go. And strangely enough, it is the first track on that album, Make It. That's a great song, but no plays in concert ever. I mean, I don't normally pick the kickoff track, but this is a song I've seen them 3 times and never played it. I didn't even see it ever played, but You know, it's a very good raw sound, and it's funny from listening to that album versus say Toys in the Attic, you could hear the difference in their production.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah,
Incredible.
I think the first album sounds very different from everything that came after it.
Right. Yeah. But
that's a great song. I'm glad you picked it. So here's the not an issue, but here's the kind of frustration that I had with doing this show, this particular one on Aerosmith, because I did a top 10 song show of Aerosmith a while back, and I got to admit, I like their deep cuts better than their more popular songs. And
yeah.
I'm that way with a lot of bands, but especially these guys. So like my top 10, my favorite 10 songs from Aerosmith are almost all deep cuts. And that was one of them. And I try very hard when we're doing these deep cut shows, especially if we've done a top 10 song show on them, I try very hard not to just mine the same songs. So my first instinct was to pick that song, and I'm like, it's already one of my favorite Aerosmith songs, and I don't want to pick it again. So I went to the same album, and I went a little bit deeper into the album. In fact, it's the second to the last song. It's called "Moving Out."
Okay.
Which is another song that just nobody ever talks about. It's a good bluesy rocker. It's raw, like you said, just like this whole album is, and it's got a great groove. And I think that song has a little bit of a kind of like a Zeppelin-y feel to it, I think, because I think this album is a mix of kind of like, because, you know, they were their heroes too, the Stones and Zeppelin. And I think Moving Out, it's great groove, great drum work. The riffs are really cool. And it's got, I think Tyler's vocals on this whole album are very different, very raw than what we would see on the next album and everything going forward. But I think we both threw out two great songs on here because, you know, most people, when they talk about the early album, the first album, are going to go to Dream On, obviously, Mama Kin, and Walking the Dog. So I think almost anything else from this album, you know, that's kind of a popular tune too, but anything else off this album is fair game. So Make It and Move It Out, two great deep tracks from the first album. So you're back.
Right.
You're up.
Okay, so my next one, I'm skipping around a little bit. This next one is off of Toys in the Attic. It was a little tough finding a deep track off of that album, but this one with 46 plays in concert only, compared to 1,600 for Walk This Way, and it's Steven Tyler's only sole writing credit on that album, Adam's Apple.
That's a good song. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love the guitar tone. You know, Perry plays great, even though he didn't, you know, write the song.
Yeah, it's a good raunchy tune. And when I was doing my list, I before I even started putting anything down, I said, you know what? I am going to just avoid Toys in the Attic and Rocks altogether. That's because it's the two most popular albums from the early catalog. Both of them are so great top to bottom, and I think I picked stuff from both of them in my original top 10 song show. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to do that, but I'm glad you picked one, and that's a good choice because there's a couple on those albums, those two albums, that I think really qualify for this. But I also had a feeling you might pick from either album, so I said, you know what, I'm going to kind of.
Okay, well, that's cool.
Go right. Yeah, exactly.
You won't have to touch my alternates, it's looking like.
Probably, yeah, exactly. So my second choice, I'm going to go to the Get Your Wings album from 1974, which I got to say is an album that I am liking more and more and more as time goes on. It's quickly becoming one of my top favorites. This is a really kick-ass album, and I think they really kind of figured it all out on this album. If you think that the first album is kind of like still the band trying to find their way, although pretty damn strong debut, I think they really getting it here. So my song here is called Spaced, all right, which is the third track on the album. It's got a great Tyler vocal, and again, you were absolutely correct when you said that Tyler's vocals on that first album really, really raw compared to what was going to come. Solid, crisp, hard rocker, got killer riffs from Perry and Whitford, and I think it's just another really, really strong album from a really strong song from a really strong album. Again, an album that gets looked at for, Lord of the Thighs, Same Old Song and Dance, Train Kept It Rolling, obviously, Seasons of Wither, Pandora's Box, SOS, Too Bad. All those are pretty notable songs that they played live a lot, but Spaced, I think they only played it a few times on the first tour for this album, and then kind of like dropped from there, and it's not on any of their compilations or anything like that. So That's my choice. Spaced from
Well,
Get
that
Your
was one of
Wings.
my alternates, believe it or not.
Oh, well, it's a great song, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No question. I love that little lead in and that very spacey, echoey.
Yeah, it's kind of like the space rock thing, right? So that's why it's a great title for the song. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay, so my next number does come off of Rocks. And then after that, I'm just going to expand, to later in their catalog. But this number, and I have to say, Brad Whitford contributed a great song to their catalog. A few great songs, but this particular one, and it's the lesser known of the two songs he provided to the album Rocks. Nobody's Fault.
Oh, great song.
Probably one of the heaviest songs they've ever played. I think. Great song. Ironically, though, the third time I saw them at Madison Square Garden, they actually played this on
Really?
stage. They dug in that concert. They dug into their deep catalog a lot.
What tour? What do you remember? What year that was?
2012, I believe.
Oh, so you saw them pretty late on. Okay, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a kick-ass song. It's definitely one of their heaviest songs, and I think like the hardcore Aerosmith fan, I don't think you'll find a hardcore Aerosmith fan. I'm talking about old school fan from the beginning, who wouldn't have that song on their top 10 favorite tracks, because that's a killer song. But again, not one of the popular ones by any means.
No,
by any means. Yeah,
definitely want to check out.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's a great song. Great song. All right, where are we at? Third pick. All right, so I'm gonna skip ahead a couple of albums here. Night in the Ruts from 1979,
okay.
Another really strong album, I think.
I'm very familiar with that album because that was the first time I saw them was on that tour.
On this tour.
I'm very curious to hear what you have.
I'm gonna go with a song called Mia.
Oh, okay.
So to me, again, another one of those albums that has a lot of really strong tunes and a couple really popular ones. And again, I didn't want to mine the songs that I picked for my top 10 because I had a couple from this album, and I was like, all right, I don't want to duplicate that again. But Mia is a really cool song, and another reason why I wanted to pick Mia, because to me, Mia is kind of like the long lost sibling of To Dream On. So I think for those people who only really know the really popular songs and of course love Dream On, I think Mia it's kind of a similar type of song. It's got the piano, the emotional vocals from Tyler. It's kind of like a nice slow build song. It's not very heavy, but just rocking enough. But I think it's just really majestic. It's got good hooks, a great chorus, and that wonderful piano. And I think, like I said, it kind of fits into the same category as Dream On. It's that similar type of song for them. From another, everybody talks about Aerosmith, especially the early stuff. They talk about, Toys in the Attic and Rocks. But man, I think Night in the Ruts, terrific album. The height of their crazy drug use and all that kind of stuff. But could you tell when you saw them? I mean, you were young, so obviously you really probably weren't paying attention. But could you tell the guys were probably all loaded and stuff? Because I heard that whole tour, they were like,
Well, you know what? I didn't have very good seats. I was kind of in the back of Nassau Coliseum, but close to the floor. But one thing I do know is they didn't have Joe Perry. He had already left. They had Jimmy
Crespo, yeah.
But it was still a great show. So, but back then, we didn't have internet, so we couldn't read all these things on a daily basis.
You'd find out years later. It's like, oh, really? So they were all hammered and strung out on coke during all those tours? Wow, I never knew that. Yeah, now it's like, forget about it. It's like...
on me. I thought I read somewhere that he wrote that for his daughter.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
doesn't matter. All the experts are gonna comment anyway. So tell us whether we were wrong.
All right, you're up next.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip a few albums and go to an album from 1987, Permanent Vacation. So this is they went through their split. They had a few different members. Then they got together for, I'm sorry, it escapes me. What was the album prior to Permanent Vacation?
Done with Mirrors.
Done with Mirrors, okay. So some people say that this is their actual comeback album. It's got some great hits on it, but so I listened through it and I picked a song called Cimaraya. It's basically, what can I say about it? Great bass work, great drums, very interesting title, but nice, very nice, catchy lyrics and from Tyler.
Yeah, I mean that album kind of, because Done with Mirrors, which was their true comeback with the classic band, but this album didn't do huge business, and it wasn't
Right.
until Permanent Vacation that all of a sudden they blew up. I think they brought in a lot of outside writers, and they just decided they were going to write I mean, look at it was what, 1986 or 7 when they released that album, right? And I mean, that's kind of, heavy bands were writing more commercial fare. That's just what it was all about. And I think that Aerosmith, right place, right time, and boom, they never looked back, right?
Right.
Yeah, and that, I mean, how many hit singles came off that album?
At least 3 or 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So I think,
but
yeah,
this title, Cimaraya, I mean, you don't think it's going to be a good song, but once I hit the play button, it really kicked ass.
Yeah.
Wow.
So good choice. All right. So I had like an original 5, and then I had like a kind of like a standby, and then just in case. So I'm going to go next with my standby. Now I'll explain as we kind of go through this, but I'm going to go to the Draw the Line album from 1977 for a song called The Hand That Feeds.
Okay.
So just a really, I call this song kind of like the Aerosmith strutting attitude. I mean, it's just like, Tyler's got this just total attitude on the vocals. The riffs just are just strutting along, soaked with attitude. It's just like these guys know they're the shit and they don't care. And it's kind of funky. It's just a really good heavy rocker with a killer groove. But more importantly, it's got a kick-ass Brad Whitford guitar solo on this song, which all right, I know that all the Perry fans are going to just be up in arms here. I always kind of thought that Brad Whitford was a better guitar player than Joe Perry. That Brad Whitford was like the secret weapon in this band, because I think, Tyler and Perry, those were the toxic twins. They had, they had the look, and they were the front guys there. But I think Brad Whitford was kind of the secret weapon in this band. And I always loved when he kind of stepped out a little bit and played some of the solos and what have you. And I think that, and I know no disrespect to Joe Perry, because I love him too, but I think Whitford for me is kind of like the unsung hero in this band. And The Hand That Feeds is my 4th choice here for
Is that one of those songs that it was like a whole band collaboration?
I think so, yeah. I think at least 3 of them wrote that song, if I'm not mistaken.
I read that Joe Perry at that time was like getting fed up with the politics of the band, so he kind of stayed away for a little bit. So
this is a Tom Hamilton, Joey Kramer, Steven Tyler, Brad Whitford, Jack Douglas composition. Yep, yeah, you are correct. As is a good chunk of that album. Right, especially the back half of the album, So Kings and Queens also was written by a bunch of them. Sight for Sore Eyes as well. Yeah.
All right. So my next number is actually going to be, move forward 1 year, the album Pump. And I love that cover. That's like anything I've ever seen from Aerosmith on the truck.
And another huge album for them. It's absolutely huge album.
So here's a song. When I first saw the title, I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be like another Mia or You See Me Crying. But then I gave it a play, and I really dug it. It's a nice old-timey rocker. It's a song called My Girl, another Tyler Perry creation.
Yep. And if I remember correctly, because I haven't listened to some of those big hit albums in a while. That's one of the more rocking tunes on the album, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, no question. It's got great vocal harmonizing, great solo by Joe Perry. Has that good old-timey rock and roll feel to it.
Yeah. A little bit different than Angel, right?
Yeah.
Janie's Got a Gun and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Pleasant surprise.
Yep. Yeah. All right, I'm going to go for my not quite final choice, because I have one kind of hiding in the wings here. I'm going to go to Done with Mirrors from 1985, this album that we talked about before. I think this is a pretty strong comeback album for them. Again, it didn't do the big business I think they were kind of hoping for, but and it's a song called Gypsy Boots. So it's actually track number 6 on the album. it's just a real good, real raunchy, like traditional Aerosmith raunchy rocker. It's got a really great vocal from Tyler. The chorus is pretty catchy. There's some tasty guitar licks flying all over the place. And I mean, there's a couple other songs that I was thinking about picking, but again, you know, like She's on Fire and, you know, Darkness and Let the Music Do You, and My Fist Your Face, which is great. I talked about those on the Top 10 Song Show, so I wanted to get something a little bit deeper. So Gypsy Boots is my choice for my almost final choice. And so now let me explain why I had one in the wings. So I originally, just because when I did like a ranking the album show of Aerosmith, I kind of didn't really touch on a lot of the latter period albums because I'm not really much of a fan. A lot of people are like, I can't believe you don't like any of those latter albums and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, all right, you know, I'm an old school Aerosmith fan. What can I tell you? So I wanted to at least throw one song out from later in the catalog. So I had like one kind of backup that was originally in my choice of fives, and The Hand That Feeds from Draw the Line was my kind of like standby that I was just going to, in case I wimped out at the last minute and didn't want to throw in something from Music from Another Dimension from 2012. So, but I'm going to give you that song anyway. So the song I picked from that album, which I will say, so I went and re-listened to it this morning, and half of that album is actually pretty good. The other half is just, I did not like it all. But the song,
it was
Music from Another Dimension is the album. So that's from 2012. Okay. And the song I picked is, well, the song title looks like Love XXX, but it's actually Love Three Times. Love Three Times a Day. It's got a great chorus. It's kind of, to me, it sounds like classic Aerosmith meets Cheap Trick with little Beatles thrown in it, right? Because the harmonies kind of remind me of the Beatles, but then again, Cheap Trick loved the Beatles, so that's not surprising there. The guitars are pretty heavy. For me, this is kind of like one of the best old school Aerosmith rock tracks that I've heard in quite a long time. So of course it's great. Love Three Times a Day. It's got, you know, Tyler sounds great. I mean, he's another one of those guys that's like dipped into the fountain of youth. The guy can still sing. They just, you know, sometimes I'm of the opinion that the songs that they do in the last, you know, 25 years or whatever are kind of but yeah, so that's my kind of like little honorable mention here, I guess, today from the later catalog, just to kind of let everybody know that I'm not totally ignoring the more recent stuff.
Okay, well, that's cool. Okay, so reason I pulled the laptop a little closer to me, I had intended, so I had shared some photos when we did the Rush show. Yep. Now, I had intended to do the same with Aerosmith, but then I realized I totally forgot to load them in to, you know, to my my visual background. So
gotcha. Yep.
Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share them. I'm getting more familiar with Zoom because my company actually uses it now. We threw out our old platform. So here goes. Oh, host disabled, participant sharing quality. All right. Well, if you have a moment, I'll just do one, and I'll while we're talking, what I'll do is I'll just go and I'll grab it and bring it in.
Do I need to? And it's like there's multiple participants can share simultaneously. So should I click on that?
Let's see if it's no, it's oh man, it's not.
We're learning on the fly here, folks.
Yeah. Dude. Oh, that's disappointing. All right. I guess we're not gonna. Yeah, it's not letting me.
Now, right, well, Jack will have to share these Aerosmith photos at a later date then, I guess.
There?
I'm here, yep. Yeah, you're kind of locking up. Oh, we lost Jack. Oh, there he's back again.
Oh, there I am. Okay, cool. All right. So, all right.
End result, no Aerosmith picks from Jack today. All right.
Actually, no. Well, there's one other way to do this. If we can wait a minute, I'll just do one picture. I'll get it off of Facebook on my phone. If I can find it. It's a wonderful picture, and it's really worth sharing.
And is that from the, did you take that from the show that you saw back in 2010, I think you said?
Yes, I did. And the funny thing about that show is we were basically sitting at the top of Madison Square Garden. So, and for me to be able to get these pictures, it was just phenomenal. Yeah, fabulous. So if I can find it, Aerosmith. And I do have a lot of, I'll try to be better prepared, so I deeply apologize for this, folks. Ah, there we go. Aerosmith, Cheap Trick at MSG.
Speaking of the two, I just mentioned Aerosmith and Cheap Trick before, and there you have it. I forgot they did that tour together.
Well, as long as I have this up, what does everybody think of this freaking guitar? It's nuts or what?
Oh yeah, it's Rick's famous 5-neck, quadruple neck, whatever.
Yeah,
I could have sworn I heard him say that thing weighs like 40 or 50 pounds. God, could you imagine?
Yeah, I mean, you have to think that that's mainly, done for effect. But
yeah.
here's a picture. Right, this is what I wanted on my background.
Oh, that's a great pick. Yeah.
Yeah, this is, you know what? I want to put a portfolio together of all my great all my great pictures, not just rock, nature. That's definitely at the foremost top of my list. So
that was what? So that was like a riser that Tyler was standing on. That's that like the dry ice underneath.
Well, actually, what that was is so they had a center stage that he walked out to, and he's playing Dream On, and that he's actually standing on top of his what looks like a Steinway piano.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I can see it now. All right. Yeah. That's definitely a piano. Okay. I couldn't tell that first time.
There's Perry on top of the piano.
There you go.
And then here's the last one.
I'm sure it was all very choreographed.
Oh, yeah. This is the beginning of Dream On. Yeah.
Wow, you got nice shots considering you were all the way up top at the Garden.
Yeah.
You had a telephoto, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those help immensely. And the lighting was really good. Whereas I think I tried to get some good pictures of Priest at Jones Beach, and the lighting was crap, and I ended up having to throw 3/4 of those pictures away.
Happens. Yeah. It's usually a crapshoot, right? When taking pictures of concerts, right? You were at the mercy of the lighting. So
basically.
Cool. So there you have some deep cut dive recommendations for Aerosmith. So in the comments below, give us some of your recommendations and deep tracks for those who are kind of maybe new to the band Aerosmith, or maybe only know those really, really popular songs, right? We all know what those songs are, so go a little deeper. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube.
All the damn time.
That's right. So coming up, what is coming up? So tomorrow, I don't even know what's tomorrow morning for Deep Cut Dive at this point. What is tomorrow? I don't know. I don't even know what day this is. I don't know what's going on. But we do have some really cool interviews this week. So should I just spill the beans?
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to spill it. I'm just going to spill
I'd love to hear this.
So coming up tonight, because this is Monday morning, lead singer of Kansas, Ronnie Platt, is coming on the show tonight. Coming up tomorrow, or I don't know exactly when it's airing, but I'm talking to him tomorrow. Alex Skolnick from Testament and Trans-Siberian Orchestra is coming on the show later on this week. Eric Norlander coming on the show, keyboardist extraordinaire. Martin Popoff's back on the show too. We're going to be doing a deep cut dive into Rainbow, and Chris Allo coming on, deep cut dive for Whitesnake. That's all happening this week. So stay tuned.
Very nice.
So yeah, busy here at the Sea of Tranquility. So we'll see you guys all later on. Have a good one. For Jack Toledano, I am Pete Pardo. Take care, everybody.
Have a good one, everybody.